Good morning and lovely to meet you, Manny.
Yeah, good morning, John and Misha. I appreciate getting to chat with you guys for a little bit about Unsinkable. Before we get kind of into some of the technical things and a little bit of the story that I'm very excited to talk to you about, just take it away. Tell me a little bit about Unsinkable and the story that people are going to hear.
Well, Unsinkable is an audio movie series starring Brian Cox, John Malkovich, Thomas Brody Sangster, and Natalie Emmanuel, amongst some others. And it is a story about a World War II cargo ship that carried millions and millions of gallons of aviation fuel across the Atlantic as Germans tried to blow them up and kill them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a true story. It happened in 1940. It was quite a thing at the time. And my background is that I used to be a deck officer in the Merchant Navy, the Merchant Marine, you'd say here, and it's kind of part of our heritage, that story. And some 10, 11 years ago, as starting out as a writer in this field, I wrote the movie screenplay of it. And I then developed it over many years into a TV series, and lengthening it as a TV series. And then 4 years ago, we met with a colleague from London called Jack Bowman from Audio Marvels, who was over here on a lecture tour kind of thing, and who's in the audio sphere. And he suggested it be a audio movie. And we both went, what's an audio movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, and actually, that's probably where we're headed next. Is I really wanted a clarification, not for me because I was able to read a couple of things on it beforehand, thanks to Annie. But yeah, tell us what exactly makes an audio movie specific from other things we've seen before.
So what Jack proceeded to tell us, he said, listen, imagine a high-level feature film, full blockbuster sound design, full orchestral score, possibly then mixing it in Dolby Atmos, right? Just but without the pictures. And so what we proceeded to do was to go together to build some partnerships and put together a team. We partnered with some very, very fine sound designers in the UK who had been responsible for Band of Brothers with HBO back in the day. And Jimmy Boyle and his team had a wonderful library of World War II sound effects, and also just some wonderful skill when it comes to helping create worlds and dealing with very, very specific details. They've also worked on the likes of James Bond, Wonder Woman, recently Robert Eggers Northman. And then through these different stages of it, we started building up, the worlds there with, again, Stephen Endelman and Sam Dingley composed these larger than life scores for us that were fully instrumented. This thing, once you've got, the sound design in there, you've got the cast of which, there are 37 actors playing 100 different roles, and the sound design and the composition, you've probably got hundreds and hundreds of layers of tracks that gets then mixed down into what you eventually hear in this immersive Atmos mix.
What are some of the keys in making sure that you're able to get your audience immersed in this? I mean, I know for me, it's a little bit. I personally feel it's easier for me. I have a wild, vivid imagination, so it only took me a couple of seconds, especially once we get into the ocean and we got into the action, where I could visualize it, and it was no different than watching it on TV for me, at least.
Yeah, well, what I had to do was to completely rewrite everything for the ear. Obviously, movies are primarily written for the eye. I mean, there's spoken word, of course, and sound effects, but you go to see a movie, and every single scene had to be looked at to say, can this scene work, and if so, how can it work? How can I rewrite this so that it's active, you know where you are, but it's not clunky and expositional? And that was to begin with was really tricky to get my head around. But the more I did it, and I was getting great input from Misha and from Andrew and Jack in London, I started to think in that eyes closed kind of way. And what we've achieved is, a 3.5 hour story with no narration at all. It's not like an audiobook. There's no narration. Nobody has to say, well, what's going on? And next we did this, or, there's none of that. what we were able to use, for moments like that, was there was after this incident, there was what became quite a famous court case in London, and we were able to use the court case to drive the story where we needed to. So you could have, a lawyer saying to someone on the stand, please tell me what happened next, or describe what happened in that moment. So we were able to use that as a linkage and as a background, and of course as a very dramatic thing that was happening as well.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of kind of those 1930s. I have a whole collection of just like Superman, uh, not for the plays, radio plays, and then going, audio books and things like that. Yeah, this did feel a little bit different. Part of the reason is you guys have also assembled quite the names of cast. Just name a few: Tommy Broadus, Sangster, Brian Cox, who I was just talking to my wife about yesterday. I was like, you know what the best thing he's done? And she's like, what? I was like, McDonald's commercials. His voice in McDonald's commercials. I want fries. He just has a way of delivering it.
Da, 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 da,
Uh,
da.
and then you have like Natalie Emmanuel and things like, and people like that who really are the icing of the cake in all the work you're doing. Tell me about assembling this cast.
Well, it came together over not a short period of time. Whenever you're going for top level talent, it's not easy. Availability is a thing, and then it's also a case of convincing, in some cases, some of the most recognizable names in the world that your project is something they want to put their name to, right? And so it was a process of John and I had sat down at a certain point and just put together a list of all the people that we had thought would be fundamentally some of the best people out there to play this. And we had first choices, second choices, third choices, what have you. And then we systematically, went through and made offers the way we'd make offers for anything else for a movie. Only this time we were doing it for audio. What was useful in this situation is the whole world had shut down. And one of the reasons we actually even approached this as an audio movie instead of developing it as a feature film was because the world had shut down. And I wouldn't say that's a given then that like everybody you want on your list is all of a sudden going to be available to do it, but it certainly meant that there were places in schedules where people perhaps would have been out for 2-3 months here on this movie or out for this series. And we the first one that we got was Brian out of those 4 headlines. And I remember calling John, and it's an amazing thing to hear a grown man go up about 4 octaves and jump onto a table. But he was
I really literally did, because that was such a breakthrough moment for us and for the project once. And when we met Brian, we recorded him. We recorded all the actors individually in audio studios all over the world.
Yeah.
And Brian, we've booked a studio for him, an audio studio for him in Massachusetts, close to his home, and provided him with a secure limo and a COVID safe. And when he walked into the room, we were on Zoom.
Well, we had a Zoom, and we also had a film crew there as well. We realized that we wanted to make sure that we got as much footage as possible. You may have seen the trailer, so I had known at that point that we wanted to be able to utilize certain aspects of the performance for that. We did some interviews as well, but the concern was, listen, not being right there. How is this going to work? We've got to not only direct, obviously the performance. You've got to make sure that you're still directing the camera crew, and make sure the technical aspects are going. So there needs to be a level of trust there with that team. And what all we can say is Brian was a pro's pro. He came in and he knew everything inside out. We barely had to guide him on in terms of the things that he saw there in the script. He was excellent. The things that we guided him on, the things that perhaps he couldn't have known for context. But no, we were very, very, very pleased.
And we asked him actually, what attracted him to do this. And first of all, he was very enthusiastic about the script, which obviously as the writer is something you love to hear from someone like Brian Cox. But also he told us that his first 9 years as a professional actor, as a young professional actor, he was on a radio play back in the day. and he loves the medium. And all the actors said the same thing. It's like you just close your, you just create the world yourself. What you said earlier, um, uh, uh, you know, was you were able to just close your eyes and imagine it. And that's what everybody was able to do. And they were so it was like, I don't have to worry about makeup or sitting around for sets and lighting and going on location and costume. I just walk in and sit at the microphone and create the world. And they all loved they loved it. Obviously, a lot of actors had done a lot of audio work, and we auditioned not the stars obviously, but everyone else. We auditioned. We made sure that they were comfortable in the role and appropriate for the role. We also were very clear that we needed people with very distinct voices so that you knew who was talking. We didn't want people with similar voices.
Sure.
John Malkovich was a fantastic win because his voice is, there's nobody else who talks.
Never any doubt when Malkovich is speaking.
Malkovich is talking, it's John Malkovich. And he was wonderful. I mean, he kept calling me sir, and I was like, stop calling me sir.
Yeah, no, that was kind of my next question. Just how excited were you guys to get some of these talent, which was you guys have gracefully already answered. I did want to know, what are some of the challenges then? I mean, when going from being approached to doing it in this style of medium as an audio movie to now in the final, what's some of the biggest hurdles that you guys maybe had to overcome or that you learned from that could help you out in the future?
From a pure production standpoint with audio, especially if you're recording it as we did, right, where we're essentially doing it animation style, right? Each actor is there individually in their own booth. Some actors are going to be of the opinion that, hey, like, I don't need to read it whatsoever. Like, I got it. I know exactly what's happening in the scene. And that may very well be. They've probably got their own imagination going on, and never as a director would you ever want to step on that. However, when you've got to worry about the other side of that performance and them having no idea what that other side of the performance is necessarily going to sound like, I would say to anybody in that environment, give a reader or read in yourself so that there's context and pacing for that scene. Now, miraculously, over all the different takes of which over those 100 different roles and numerous takes within them, numerous scenes, we would hope that anybody listening out there would never have any idea that none of those actors were ever in the same room. I say that with one caveat, that the only two that did manage to be together were Rupert Vansittart and Julia Aubrey, and that's because there was a studio in London which just had the regulations set up where they could do that because of COVID. It was so restrictive at the time, and their relationship works great. It benefits from that, but as I said, I would hope that
they played husband and wife, so it was great that all their scenes pretty much were together. So that was a great thing, and they just fired off each other as well. It was wonderful.
That's actually really impressive that you guys could take all these voices, take all this action sounds, and and work in partnership with so many people at a time where we had to be farther apart. You guys are able to bring everything together and give us Unsinkable, which is a real testament to creativity and to the classic Jurassic Park line, life finds a way, which in this case, creativity finds a way. And I think you guys are amazing for it. And thank you guys so much for letting me spend a few minutes with both of you. It's been fun to listen to, and I'm looking forward to continuing to listen on and get the whole story.
Thanks for talking to us today, Manny. It's been lovely.
Yeah, it's great meeting you both, and I hope to hear from you again soon.